Hello, welcome to Kelly's Roadhouse, the podcast where we recap every single Sweet Valley High book in the series. I'm Paula and I'm here with Rich.
Hello.
This fortnight we are covering book number 17, Love Letters.
Yes, we are.
Is Caroline's romance for real?
Well, I think the last book actually answered that already, didn't it? Or did it? Maybe it didn't, actually. Maybe it didn't. Well, I guess we're going to find out, though.
Well, the back kind of answers it, because it literally says make-believe romance on the back in bold.
Spoilers, guys.
Caroline Pierce has always been one of the least popular girls at Sweet Valley High, but when she invents a new out-of-town boyfriend, people finally start to pay attention to her. Brown-eyed, six-foot Adam and his romantic love letters are the talk of the school. Caroline has everyone fooled, even clever Jessica Wakefield. Clever Jessica Wakefield?
Clever Jessica Wakefield. Those are words I wouldn't expect to go together.
But what begins as a bid for love and attention quickly becomes the worst jam of Caroline's life. When her friends insist on meeting the boyfriend she's been bragging about, can Caroline keep the truth a secret, or will her lies be her downfall?
Well, I guess we'll find out shortly. Yeah,
so we got a peach cover. And it's got a picture of Caroline on our first look at Caroline.
Yeah, not how I expected Caroline to look. I don't know why. Just the image in my head was not that. I thought for some reason in my head she had like black hair.
They have mentioned she's got red hair in the
past. Have they? I'm just an idiot then. No, I don't know. But yeah, it's nice to finally see her. And we get to see her letter from Adam. And we get to see Elizabeth being judgy as fuck.
Yeah, so Caroline's got dark red hair, and she's wearing a shirt buttoned all the way up to the top.
Right
course,
up
because
there.
she's very reserved with her dress sense, we learn.
Yeah.
And she's holding one of Adam's letters on the baby blue paper.
Yeah.
And Liz is stood behind her.
Judging, with her arms crossed.
As usual.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I posted this cover up, we had a few comments about it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Laura Simpson said she loves the sneaky, judgy Liz on the cover, but Caroline is not one of her favourites.
Right.
And Alex Trigg says, if Liz isn't on the cover hovering over someone's shoulder, is it even a Sweet Valley High book?
That's a fair comment, actually.
She's on so many of them.
She really is, yeah.
And Alia Anwar, 79, said, the more I look at Caroline's hair on the cover, the more I'm convinced her unpopularity was down to her mullet and not anything else.
Damn. Well, she does get a haircut in this one.
Yeah, and I was saying she gets a haircut in this one, but I'm unsure. I wonder if this pic is after or before that haircut.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's before. Because it's a bit of a dodgy haircut, isn't it?
It's yes. I think even in the 80s it was not the best cut. But, yeah, so, well, let's find out. I do remember now, the last book did point this out because she has the first letter from Adam at the party.
Yeah.
And then it kind of leads in with her kind of thinking, oh no, I've made up a person. It's going to be a problem.
Because was that 4 weeks ago we did that book? We did the thriller, didn't we?
Yeah, it was before the thriller.
This is our first one.
Yeah.
So, again, in this book, which is the second time this has happened lately, we don't open with the twins.
I know. It feels like we're at a point in the Sweet Valley universe where there's enough characters now that they don't have to focus immediately on the twins.
I like
we
it.
Can see Yeah, I do. I prefer it. It's nice. It's kind of refreshing at this point to get a different character.
It's the day after the Patmans welcome Roger to the family party.
Yes,
we ended on, so we've literally just carried on the next day.
Yeah.
Caroline's happy because last night was the first time she'd felt part of a group, and she thinks that, well, she'll never be as popular as Jessica and Lila. Of course not. People are paying attention to her, and all it took was an invented boyfriend.
Yeah, I think she thinks to herself that it was like the greatest night of her life to date. She's been finally accepted by these group of bitches.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to her. So
to recap what happened, they were at the Patmans party and she just pulled this letter out of her purse, didn't she? And read it to Cara, Lila, Jessica, and some other girls in the bathroom.
Yeah, and to be honest, like even at the time, they're pretty clear that Jess doesn't give a shit, and neither does Lila. And then they were like,
they don't really believe her.
No,
really,
because I think at this point, Caroline has got such a reputation for just making stuff up they just assume that it's not real. And although obviously she's produced a letter, I think even at the start of this book, immediately Jess and Lila are suspicious.
Yeah, so we're told her older sister Anita says she's a gossip, but Caroline tells Anita that she only does it because she feels left out. But Anita says telling stories about people is the surest way to stay left out. Yeah,
and she says that telling Caroline a secret is like running an ad in the Sweet Valley News, presumably on a day when there's not a murder in the car park.
So Anita's a college student. She's got looks, boyfriends, good grades, and Caroline thinks she would laugh if she knew how many times she cried herself to sleep while everyone else was out on dates. She tried being herself, like Anita had suggested to her, but boys or girls just weren't interested in having anything to do with her.
It's really it's really funny because at this stage of the book, I actually thought Anita was a bit of a bitch. And then obviously I read on. So it's kind of funny because I don't go back over my notes. I just write them out. So you kind of get my thoughts as I go and my opinion on characters changes as it goes through. Yeah. So at this point I was like, oh, this Anita seems really horrible. She's not a very nice sister at all.
And then Caroline had described Adam with such precision that he seemed real to her. Yeah. She said he was 6'2", dark brown hair, with warm laughing eyes. He lived 2 hours away in Cold Springs and he played baseball. She's fed up of being a misfit and she tells herself that she has a boyfriend and he loves her very much. Yeah. And that's all she's got to remember.
Yeah, because now that she's got a boyfriend, she's accepted. And that's all she's ever wanted.
So at breakfast time, she offers Anita a waffle and Anita pointedly says she's watching her weight.
Yeah, and she gives, like, Caroline a look that kind of says maybe you shouldn't eat a waffle.
But Caroline reminds herself she doesn't have a weight problem and she'd be miserable if she lived on melon and water like Anita.
Yeah.
Good girl, Caroline.
Good for you, Caroline.
One of the only Sweet Valley characters that
doesn't get an eating complex. Yeah.
She tells Anita all about last night's party. And I mean, like, all about the party.
It's about a page and a half of just her talking about it.
It sounds like a gossip magazine page.
Yeah, it does.
Liz should take note of this because it's better than her column.
It is. Are you going to read it?
No, it's too much.
It's quite long. My favourite bit of it, and I don't know if you got this, but she comments on Bruce Patman's girl, one of Bruce Patman's girls, and she said the girl wore the most amazing dress. It was practically see-through. I'm like, that sounds like a horrible dress. That doesn't sound like an amazing dress. Yeah. That sounds awful.
Well, Lila was wearing a dress from the designer shop.
Of course she was.
And Kara's date was a real nerd. I wonder who Kara was with. We never
I
found
don't know.
out.
I mean, we do know, obviously, at this point, and we'll see during the book, Kara is like at her wit's end and desperate for a boyfriend. So, yeah, who knows? But we can almost certainly say it wasn't Winston, but that's about it.
And Anita asks if Caroline danced with anyone, and Caroline admits that she didn't. And Anita says, there'll be other dances.
Yeah.
And Caroline thinks she won't be so condescending when she finds out about Adam.
Yeah. It's funny because the book kind of does write it like Anita's a bit of a bitch in this bit. But I think it's because it's written from Caroline's perspective. It's Caroline's opinion.
Insecurity.
It's Caroline's insecurity.
So Caroline tells Anita that she's off to the beach with the Wakefields. And Anita is suddenly interested. Because, like everybody else, she is obsessed with the bloody Wakefields.
The book might not open with the Wakefields, but the world of Sweet Valley certainly revolves around those twins.
Yeah, apparently she was always pushing Caroline to get to know the twins. But she knows them already, because Caroline hangs around with Liz all the time. And
Caroline used to work for the Sixers in
they're
Twins.
Always in Mr. Bowman's classroom together. Doing backflips and
reading grades.
Reading people's test results. But the truth was, Caroline had actually just overheard Jessica offering Cara a ride. And she'd kind of invited herself along.
Yeah, she'd kind of invited herself and Jess had been very non-committal about the whole thing.
So Caroline decided she's just going to go over to the Wakefield's house.
Yeah.
And try and, push her way in, invite herself.
Yeah.
She's another Mary.
She is. This all feels a little unnecessary as well, because it's like you could just go to the beach and then walk up to them when they're there. But,
Yeah,
I guess
she does live a few doors down from them, so.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Of course, drive.
Because of course.
So she heads upstairs to get her beach stuff, and when she's getting it, her eyes fill with tears for a moment.
Yeah.
Because she wishes Adam was real. And she realises how lonely she is.
Yeah, I mean, that's like kind of it, the base of everything that Caroline does, is that she's really lonely and she wants acceptance and she wants a boyfriend.
At the Wakefields, Caroline rings the doorbell and Jessica begs Liz to answer and make up an excuse.
She's like, she says, oh, you know how much of a pain she is, and Liz, you're so much more diplomatic than me. And it, again, same situation as always. Liz is going to say no, then Jess is going to beg, and then Liz will say yes.
And Liz says, why can't you just let Caroline go with you? It's like, well, I bet you wouldn't, though, Liz. You hate her as well.
Yeah, totally.
So Liz agrees, she answers the door, and Caroline shyly asks if they're going to the beach. Her pale skin turned pink under her freckles. And Liz says she's got too much work, and Caroline says, well, you always get straight A's.
Yeah, but of course, it's not schoolwork per se.
No, it's the one-act play that she's working on for the junior playwriting contest.
Yeah. Caroline says, of course, don't worry. She's sure that Liz is going to win.
And then she says, I bet no one else will even enter.
I know, it's such a backhanded compliment.
But she's trying to be nice.
I know. This is the thing the whole way through this book. Caroline is really trying to be nice. And you kind of, it's interesting reading this and then like kind of thinking back to all the times you saw Caroline put her foot in it or mess up in the past.
Yeah.
Because now we've got context to it. And I didn't, I used to think Caroline was just a bit of a shit stirrer. But now, this new perspective,
she just puts her foot in her mouth.
I just feel really bad for her. Yeah.
And Liz tells her that Bill Chase is entering the contest and his play will be really good because he's really interested in drama. That doesn't mean he can write.
I know. Well, I put that because she says, oh, he's got Dee Dee's dad and all of this, and he's like been super into it ever since he got discovered by Dee Dee's dad.
Yeah.
But it's like he was discovered for being an actor. Like actors can't necessarily write. No. It's not like a transferable skill. Like, oh yeah, I can do this, so I can do that.
And Caroline puts her foot in her mouth again, and she says, I'm sure Bill's play won't be very good.
Yeah.
And then Liz gets irritated because Caroline tells her that Todd will be at the beach. And Liz is like, she's assuming that I'll jump at the chance to see him.
You should jump at the chance to see your boyfriend. Yeah, like that's a fair assumption.
How dare someone think that I would want to see my boyfriend?
Yeah.
And she thinks they don't need to spend every minute together. But every time she's away from him, she's always like, oh, I miss Todd.
Yeah, exactly.
But Todd knew how much this competition meant to her because even though she was an experienced writer for the Oracle, don't you know?
Yes.
This play will be her first creative piece to be judged by others.
Yes. Now, of course, this was set up in Promises with Betsy Martin. We learned that Liz had a desk full of unpublished poetry and that she's never published her creative writing. She's very private about it, let me tell you. She's never published it. So this is the first time she's going to actually... Maybe she's taken a leaf out of Betsy Martin's, book.
So she tells Caroline Jessica is asleep and she won't be up for ages. And Caroline says, I can come in and wait.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit weird.
She is acting like Mary in our last Casey's
episode. Yeah, she is acting like Mary in Casey's. If you haven't listened to it, Casey's Ice Cream Parlor. Yeah, you're right, actually. I hadn't even thought about that, but she's totally acting like Mary. That is really weird to say, like, oh, I know you're asleep. I'll just wait downstairs until you wake up.
I'll just go upstairs and watch you sleep.
Yeah, I'll just stand over your bed and watch you sleep. It's fine.
And Liz does toy with the idea of letting her in and trapping Jessica upstairs.
That would have been funny. But Liz is too boring for that.
Yeah, and she thinks Jessica would probably climb out of the window anyway.
Yeah.
Which I agree, she probably would.
She probably would, yeah.
So she says to Caroline, go on ahead, Jess will follow eventually. And Caroline heads off to take the bus. And she thinks there's bound to be someone at the beach I can hang out with.
Yeah. But on her way out, a dog, not Prince Albert, but a dog, knocks over a bin. Or knocks off the bin lid, doesn't he? Knocks off the bin lid to the Wakefield's bin.
He knocks the trash can over and a sheet of paper falls out and it catches her eye. Like, don't they tie their rubbish in bags?
Yeah, I know. This letter is just perfectly placed there to be found.
It's a photocopied letter addressed to a company in San Francisco, and it's from Alice. Curiosity had always been one of Caroline's strong traits.
Yeah,
so
you're not
she picks
kidding.
it up. And she takes it. She's amazed by what she reads, and she thinks it's the most explosive piece of news she's found yet.
Oh my god.
Cut to the beach, and Lila is still going on about Regina.
Yeah, she's
Cara
looking
and
through the
Jessica.
magazine with Regina's photos.
Yeah, she says Regina looks cross-eyed. Well, it's better than looking like you got a flat face, isn't it?
Yeah, it's better than looking like you got a flat face. She also says she thinks that modelling is vulgar, and it's and I was really glad because I think Jess actually points out that like last week you were willing to be modelled for this magazine. It
actually says that Lila was glad that nobody else knew.
Oh, she's glad that nobody else knew. Oh, yeah,
went...
that's right. Yeah, because it is like you literally were willing to do that yourself.
Yeah, but yeah, she says modelling is vulgar. Then they spot Caroline approaching, and Jessica pretends to hide underneath her towel.
Yeah.
Caroline had been on the beach on her own for 2 hours, waiting for someone she knew to show up.
Yeah, apparently she went.
Sad.
It is sad, but apparently she went there and she did like the ocean and stuff, so she decided to stay for a while. She's really bored at this point, though. She's like ready to go, and then she sees the group.
Yeah, so she puts her towel down next to Jess's, and she says, "I can't believe how mobbed the beach is."
Yeah, and Lila immediately says, "Not mobbed enough."
And Jessica says, "Oh, Lila's just looking for boys."
Yeah, like Jess is still covering for Lila.
And Caroline feels frumpy in her old tank suit next to Jessica in her tiny bikini.
Yeah, she wishes she looked as good as Jessica in her bikini.
And then they all start ignoring her and chatting amongst themselves. So she gets involved in the conversation the only way she knows how.
Oh, I know. She's trying. She just does all the wrong things.
With some gossip.
Yep.
So she tells them Annie and Ricky had a fight at the dance last night. And then there's this really long-winded story.
Yeah, Annie, like, it goes on and on and on, this
How does
story.
she know all this?
I know, it's ridiculous.
So, are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Ricky?
I made a note of this as well. And I was making a note and I was like, this is just going on forever. Like,
I know.
This is going on forever. I'm glad you wrote it down as well.
So Ricky had promised to pick up Annie in his father's Cadillac.
Yes.
But his father had changed his mind at the last minute. So he ended up picking her up in his beat-up old Chevy.
Yeah, he still gave her a lift.
Like, big deal. I don't think Annie would care.
No, and also...
She drives around in it every other night.
Exactly. And this is that thing again as well, isn't it? Where it's like, no one's going to see you turn up. They're all in the party. So, like, you could pull up in the coolest car in the world. No one's going to notice. So,
and then Annie got shrimp sauce on her dress. So she went to the toilets to clean it. And when she got back, Ricky was talking to Maria Santelli.
Oh my God.
And it's not the first time it had happened, don't you know? So apparently Ricky is not allowed to talk to people.
No.
I didn't say he was dancing with her or anything.
No,
he was just talking to her.
That is a capital offence.
But she was mad about that, according to Caroline.
According to Caroline, yes.
Ricky tried dancing with Annie, and then he stepped on her foot. She was wearing sandals, so she thought her foot was broken. So
how hard did he stand on her foot while dancing?
So she stormed out. I doubt if she thought her foot was broken, I doubt she'd be storming out.
Yeah, she wouldn't be storming out, would she? She'd probably be like yelping in pain.
And yeah, she got her mum to pick her up, and she said to Ricky she doesn't want to see him again.
No. Well, of course, Cara questions, maybe this means that Ricky is available now.
Yeah, she says that she can't afford to be choosy at the moment.
Yeah, Jess is like, are you insane? He's not right for you at all. And Cara's like, I'll take anyone. It's fine.
And it's like, a few weeks ago, though, you were all calling Annie easy.
I know.
But now you want Annie's leftovers.
It's kind of what I love about these books, is that it does show, like, how much double standards and, hypocrisy there is with these girls. It's hilarious. It's all right for them, but it's not all right for Annie. No. It's all right for them, but it's not all right for Robin Wilson, you know.
Yeah. Jessica suggests Winston, and Cara says she can't stand guys who are thinner than she is.
Yeah, apparently everyone laughs at this,
except Caroline. Yeah. Because Caroline's offended because she used to have a crush on Winston.
But he didn't even notice.
That's like, they're kind of letting us know, like, she's so bad that even
lowly Winston
doesn't
what
want
did the
her.
book call him? The gangly class clown. Even he doesn't notice her.
And Lila suggests John Pfeiffer. No.
Yeah.
No, Lila. But Cara says John's too busy being sports editor to make time for girls. Caroline's desperately trying to think of something to contribute. So she tells them that John and Penny had a huge fight.
Apparently Penny is the editor-in-chief at the Oracle.
Yeah.
I thought Mr. Collins was, like, kind of...
No, he's like the...
He's just a teacher.
There's a name for it. It's like the teacher that oversees it. Or,
okay. So they run it themselves and he just kind of oversees it. That makes sense. I don't think I'd heard of Penny before. But she might have come up. Yeah,
she does. She is in it quite a bit. So John and Penny had a huge fight, and because she's the editor, John might be kicked off the Oracle. Yeah,
and Jess is like, really? I'm surprised Liz hasn't mentioned this to me. You know, it's like the kind of thing that even Liz would have probably mentioned that.
And then they go back to talking about boys, and Cara says it's no use. They've run out of them.
They're just no more. They've
just dated them all.
Yeah,
everyone in Sweet Valley.
Jessica's dated pretty much all of them at this point. So,
and Caroline says, "Well, I used to feel the same way, but it's worth it to take your time and find the right guy."
Yes, and of course, Lila questions if Caroline is referring to Adam.
Yeah, she says, "Are you talking about that guy from Old Springs?"
Yeah, and Caroline corrects her.
Caroline's like, "It's Cold Springs, and his name is Adam." And Cara says the letter he sent was so poetic, especially the part about him loving her more after she's dead. That doesn't sound romantic to me.
No.
Although I know that is a genuine, like, Browning
poem.
Oh,
I'm sure it is, yeah.
But I don't get it. And Caroline says, yeah, he called me this morning, and he made me say I loved him, even though my mum was in the next room.
Oh,
Fucking
my God.
wild. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And he told her he's counting down the hours until he sees her again.
Yes, and of course this causes Lila to question when he is going to come and visit them.
And she says he didn't mean hours in the literal sense. He doesn't use language the way most people do. He's very poetic.
Yeah. He's an artist, don't you know?
And Lila's like, well, that still doesn't answer my question.
Yeah, Lila is like aggressively trying to get to the bottom of this. Like obviously as it goes through, it becomes clear. But you do get the sense that Jess and Lila certainly do not buy it already. They're already suspicious.
And then Caroline jumps up and she says, oh, there's Maria. I need to go and ask her what's going on with Ricky and Annie.
I need to go and interview her.
And when she's gone, Cara giggles about her bathing suit looking like something you'd wear for gym class.
Aww.
And Lila says she obviously didn't meet this Adam at the beach. And he must have a few screws loose if he likes Caroline. And Cara says, yeah, he must be nearsighted.
Yeah, and doesn't, like, Lila say, like, he must be nearsighted and deaf to put up with more than 5 minutes of her?
Jessica says he must be hard of hearing to tolerate 5 minutes with her. And then she starts impersonating Caroline's voice.
I know.
In a high, irritating falsetto voice. And of course she doesn't notice Lila gesturing furiously.
Yeah, Lila's like, shut up.
That Caroline stood right behind her, and she's heard.
Yeah, but of course Caroline, just trying still to be friends, it's just kind of like, oh, that was a funny impression, you know, like, still trying.
Jess tries to laugh it off and change the subject, and she asks Caroline what Maria said. And Caroline replies that Maria doesn't know anything. And Jessica says, well, in other words, she told you to mind your own business. And then Caroline's just had enough of Jessica.
And I was like, good for you. Like, she's finally had enough.
So she says, well, you must have enough to worry about already. And Jessica's really confused. And Caroline says, you must be getting ready to move. Busy getting ready to move. And it must be hard to leave Sweet Valley. And Jessica laughs and she says, what are you talking about? I'm not going anywhere. So Caroline shows her the letter she's found. Jessica turns white. So it's the letter from Alice, and it's to a design firm in San Francisco. It's thanking them for a job offer and saying she's considering it.
Yeah. I couldn't believe. Go on.
But she won't be able to move her family over for at least a month.
Yeah.
And Jessica glares at Caroline, and she says, oh, I've known about all this for weeks. Of course I'm not moving.
Yeah, she said, like, oh, they're just stringing her. She's just, like, leaving her options open. There's nothing to worry about. We were told about this ages ago.
And Caroline's like, bye. Yeah. Gotta go right to Adam.
Caroline gets the sense that she's shocked Jess with that. Like, Jess is playing it off, but Caroline can tell. I was like, oh my God, Caroline, I can't believe you've done this. I was so glad that she was sticking up to Jess, and then when I saw what she was doing, I was like, Caroline, no, that was too far.
Yeah, well, Jess was being pretty awful.
No, she was, but at the same time, it's like, this is not going to help you, Caroline. This is a bad idea.
And then Jessica gets a ride home with Cara and Lila. But also on this bit, I thought, isn't anyone going to ask Caroline why she's got a piece of the Wakefield mail?
Where did you get this?
Yeah, that's the first thing I would say.
Yeah, I'd be like, where
why
did
have
you
you
even
got a letter
get
from my
this?
mum?
Yeah. Covered in, like, rubbish and bits of egg and...
Bits of clam sauce.
Yeah,
and
clam sauce and
broccoli
flounder.
souffle and broiled flounder. Jessica gets home to an empty house, and because Liz is at Todd's and Ned and Alice want to buy pizza.
Yes, and Jess immediately starts sulking, saying, it's typical of her parents. They're so busy with work.
Yeah, she's talking to herself.
Yeah.
And she goes up to her room and she wails that it's taken forever to get it to look like this. And Liz pokes her head in and... Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Right. Liz pokes her head in and says, yeah, I bet it has. Jessica tearfully shows Liz the letter. And she says, Caroline Pierce, homewrecker and busybody, gave it to her. And again, Liz doesn't ask where Caroline got the letter.
No one asks.
Nobody asks this question.
The most logical first question that you would ask in this situation.
Yeah, Liz just, like, reasonable Liz, as always. She's just like, we just need to talk to our parents and stay calm.
She is worried about it, though. Like, it's clear that Liz is worried. But yeah, she again, like you said.
But Jessica says they're doomed, finished, completely ruined.
Yeah.
When Ned and Alice get home, they've barely taken the pizza out of the box when Jessica explodes and she demands to know how they could do this.
I love it. She explodes and says that it's completely unreasonable. And Alice assumes it's about the pizza. She's like, oh, really? You don't like the pizza? It's like, I just imagine that Jess explodes all the time over like minutiae. So like they assume it's just she doesn't like this flavour of pizza.
Yeah. I didn't want onions.
Yeah, exactly.
But Jessica shows them the letter and she asks when they were going to tell them.
Yeah.
And Alice says, well, I only found out a week ago when the company called me. So it sounds like she wasn't applying for jobs.
No,
she
they headhunted. Yeah.
And Alice says it's a very flattering offer and she wanted some time to think about it before she told everyone.
Yeah, she didn't want to upset them.
So I can kind of
no
understand
reason.
that, really.
Yeah.
But Jessica snaps that it sounds like her mind's made up. And then Ned gets really, really fucking mad.
I think this is the first time we've seen Ned, like... There's a couple of times in this book where Ned is actually really angry.
Yeah, he says he doesn't like her tone. And she should be congratulating Alice. And Liz says, what about your job? And he says, well, I've already spoken to a few law firms in San Francisco. And Jess starts wailing that she'd have to give up cheerleading and her friends, and she says they're selfish.
Yeah, she also she does bring up Todd as well. She's like, and what about Liz? She's got Todd to think
Suddenly
about.
Suddenly she cares.
That's when you know that like things are serious. She's pretending to care about Todd.
And Ned says, you're the selfish one. Go to your room.
Yeah, and Jess says, I was going anyway.
And she charges upstairs so hard, her footsteps make the whole house shake.
Wow, maybe she'll break her feet.
Do they live in a house made of like cardboard or something?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Spanish tiles and then cardboard underneath the Spanish tiles.
And then Liz follows her, and for once she doesn't blame Jess.
No, she actually was like, yeah, actually in this one instance, me and Jess are kind of aligned.
She says they need to come up with a plan.
Yeah.
A few hours later, Elizabeth is getting emotional trying to work on her play.
Yeah, she's trying to work on the play,
her
play
really irritates me all the way through this book. I don't know why, it just does.
It sounds
so boring. Every time they mention it, I'm like, oh.
It's so typically Liz.
Yeah.
This 19th century literary writers. Of course, that's what you've chosen.
It's inspired by a book lent her by Olivia called Sonnets from the Portuguese.
Yes.
And Liz had been so moved by the beautiful love poems, and she learned all about Elizabeth Barrett and her husband Robert Browning. Her pad was full of letters that Browning had written to Elizabeth Barrett, referencing loss. And it's making her think of being separated from Todd.
Oh.
Suddenly, she's like, oh shit, Todd.
Oh yeah, that boy.
We're meant to be going to the Dairy Burger in 10 minutes to meet Olivia and Roger.
Yeah.
So she quickly gets ready and meets Todd downstairs. How can you get ready in 10 minutes?
Now, of course, we have a situation here where she might be leaving Sweet Valley. And in typical Liz fashion, she's going to choose not to tell Todd. Of
course, yeah.
Yes.
Like, if...
This is pretty important for Todd, too.
If I was Liz, like, the first thing I'd do is ring my boyfriend.
Yeah, like,
say,
immediately.
Oh my God, guess
I would
what
have
just
been like,
happened?
This is awful. I have terrible news.
She doesn't tell him anything.
I know. She's like, no, I think it's best... Like they were just criticising Alice and Ned for not telling them. And now she's going to actively be like, no, I think it's better if I just don't tell Todd until I'm gone. Like, what?
Yeah, he notices in the car she seems upset and she just tells a lie.
Yeah, she just says it's about the
worried about the play.
The play, yeah.
Inside the Dairy Burger, frizzy-haired Olivia...
I know, I wrote that down. They made a point of saying she had frizzy hair.
...is balancing 4 milkshakes on a tray. Why don't you just carry 2? Why don't you just carry 2 trays, Olivia?
That's a callback.
Oh, God. If you didn't listen to Rags to Riches, you wonder what the hell we're talking about. But
Bloody Olivia. She does not do well.
She shouldn't try carrying 2 trays. She should remember what happened at the Patman's barbecue. She made a fool of herself. She manages to get across to the table with the 1 tray with the 4 milkshakes on.
Yeah,
well done,
she
Olivia. Good going. She's learned a lesson. She's like, I'm not carrying 2 again.
I was really hoping that Bruce Patman would come up from behind the table and be like,
you pig.
Olivia, 4 milkshakes.
And then when they're at the table, Caroline comes over. And she asks Liz to tell Jessica that she's sorry for bringing up their plans to move in front of everyone.
Oh, she's trying so hard.
And Todd's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh shit, I've done it again.
Yeah, I know. And I can see why Liz and Co get angry at her, but seeing it from her perspective, it's like, she's trying so hard to like do the right thing, and she's just, yeah.
So yeah, then Liz has to tell Todd.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So she only tells Todd because she has to. To be clear, she was not going to tell him.
We're at Monday now. Jessica breezes into Ned's office without knocking, of course.
Yes, she greets the, quote, attractive grey-haired receptionist.
And she gives Ned a kiss on the cheek before he could say anything. She lies and says that she was in the area to go to the doctor's to get some like cheerleading health form thing. Yeah,
it was like, just to get a form filled out. She knows that Ned won't bother checking, so it's fine.
And she wanted to surprise him. She asks him what he's working on, and when he says it's a really messy divorce case, she's like, well, you won't be able to handle that from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh God, I should have known that you're still upset. Well, of course she's still upset.
Yeah, she's still going to be upset, Ned. That's not
just going to go away, is it?
Come on.
And he tried to explain again about what a great offer it is for Alice.
Yeah, Jess's like really main argument, well, other than being moved, is that she had to find out from a friend.
Yeah, she not even a friend.
I think she says friend to Ned, but yeah.
And they get into an argument, but then she starts crying. Yes. So he hugs her and he apologizes. But he says if we move before you go to college, it will help with the tuition fees.
Yeah, he does have a moment where he's like, in truth, like, I will be sacrificing part of my career for this as well. But Alice deserves the job, and they do need the money for tuition.
And Jessica says, wow, I might not even go to college. I might just stay in Sweet Valley and get a job.
Ned is fucking horrified at the thought of his daughter not going to college and just getting a job after school. He flips out.
Yeah, he orders her to go home now. So she storms out of the office. On the way out, she bumps into a familiar face.
I was so happy to see him.
I was so excited, but then he's just not mentioned again.
I know. I was like, because you didn't spoil this for me. You just told me that they saw him. And I was like, oh my God, is the B plot going to be him coming back? But no.
I wish it did. So she bumps to the child himself, Dennis Creighton.
Yeah.
The 15-year-old child.
And
I can't remember which book it was the B plot for, but...
No, it was the one with Roger as the janitor. I can remember the book, but I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, Rags to Riches.
It's the play one, actually. It's the Bill Chase play one. I think it's the same one.
Yeah, so she was having a steamy porno-style office affair. With
Yeah,
Dennis
and
getting
she,
on over the photocopier.
Yeah, and she reminisces about it in this book, about the hours she spent in the office trying to kind of impress him and stuff.
And then she found out he was 15.
1 year younger than
everything
her.
was ruined.
Yeah.
It'd probably be less than a year as well.
Yeah,
you know?
well, yeah, within a school
a
year.
year.
Yeah.
So Dennis tries to chat to her, but she's not interested anymore.
She's having none of it, yeah.
And she just brushes past him. Damn it.
She even thinks, like, as if I would ever date someone younger than me. But that, like, honestly, of all the people that Jess has ever met so far in these books, all the guys, this is the first guy that I felt she genuinely liked. He genuinely liked her. There was, like...
Really?
Do you not think?
I thought it was a bit sleazy.
It was a bit sleazy.
That's why I like it so much. It was just hilarious.
It was a bit sleazy, but I think of all of the guys, most of them being like rapists or like,
good
drunks.
point.
Like, this is the one guy who seemed like sleazy, but he was like...
It's like they didn't really do anything. It's like they just stayed behind after work and just made out for hours.
Yeah.
In like a dark, deserted office. It's so sleazy.
It was pretty sleazy.
But I loved it.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. I'm really sad that this is the only mention we're going to get of Dennis.
I know,
because the elevator reaches the ground floor and she just storms off and leaves him. And the book makes a point of saying he looks disappointed, which makes me hope
Dennis.
Maybe we'll see him again in the future.
Maybe.
I hope.
You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I hope so.
And then we cut to the library. Caroline's there returning some books, and she's acting really cagey about it.
Yeah, she's... I didn't understand this at this point. I was like, why is she so cagey about delivering back these Robert Browning books?
Yeah. The librarian says until about a month ago, nobody was interested in the Robert Browning poetry books.
Yeah, Caroline, it seems embarrassed, and she just says that she finds his poetry beautiful and his letters beautiful.
And the librarian says, well, another girl's also been in every day looking for them.
I knew.
Was her name Lisa? Lucy?
I knew who it was immediately.
And Caroline says, oh, it doesn't matter, because she just wants to get out of there because she's seen Annie Whitman come in.
Yeah, she panics thinking, oh no, they're gonna figure me out.
And the librarian says, well, I just thought you could start a Browning Appreciation Club.
Yeah, right. So I made a note on this because given that there's only 2 people in Sweet Valley High that apparently give a shit about Robert Browning, that's a very niche group that she's setting up. Wouldn't you set up like a literary group or something? No, just this one specific writer that like 2 people have got books out for.
And Caroline rushes home. She heads up to her room. She pops some light blue paper into her typewriter, as we saw on the cover, the light blue paper.
Oh, yes.
And she picks out a letter to copy from a book called Robert Browning Letters Volume 3.
So, of course, we now learn Adam's letters, they're actually Robert Browning's letters.
She never copies the whole letter because that would have been cheating, it says.
Sure.
So she changed them around a bit. She added in some details about his baseball team and his schoolwork. And she's starting to get tired of sneaking around, though. And she feels a bit sad typing letters to herself.
Yeah, understandably, I think.
But she's in too deep to stop now. And she thinks people will just think she's worthless without Adam.
Aww.
Just like Anita does.
She's got a plan for Anita, though.
Yeah, she thinks it's about time I told Anita.
Yeah. So she goes downstairs and she waits until she can hear Anita coming home, I guess. And she immediately picks up the phone and pretends to be on the phone to Adam.
Yeah, she starts having a fake one-sided conversation. Yeah. She says, oh, I've been so happy to get your letter. And then she pauses for a bit. And then she can tell Anita's listening from the kitchen.
Yeah, but it makes a point of saying that Anita actually slows down and smiles when she sees. Because Anita's happy that she's talking to a guy, you know.
And then she says, I love you too, Adam.
Aww.
And she casually goes into the kitchen and starts reading a copy of Vogue.
Yeah, which apparently she has no interest in. She's just trying to act cool.
And Anita closes the magazine on her hand and demands to know who Adam is. And she can't use the story she's used to her friends because the story she told them in the end of the last book
and the family.
that something to do with
they all
her
went
dad's
on a
friend's work party.
Yeah,
he
were
was like
all there.
Someone's son. So she makes up a new story and she says she met him when the debating team went up to Cold Springs.
Yeah.
She beat him in a debate and he was very impressed. So they started writing to each other, and through their letters, they've fallen in love.
Yeah, and of course, Anita asks if she can read one of the letters.
And Caroline gets that whole stash. She's like, "Yeah, here's just a
I've
few
just
I've got
finished
lying
typing
around.
one up. Let me go get it.
Anita reads one, and oh god, did you pick up on this?
I don't know.
Letter. Anita reads the letter out, and it says, "Your flower is the one flower I have seen, see, or shall see. When it fades, I will bless it until it shines again." That sounds rude.
Well, it probably...
Is it just my mind?
It probably was, because it was written by an adult poet, not by, 16-year-old Adam,
but I took that it was about a vagina.
Yeah, but do you think that Caroline even knows that?
No.
That's what I mean. I think it's quite funny, because it's
I don't think it actually was either.
Oh, do you not?
I think that's just my
Maybe.
mind.
My mind went the same place.
Going down to the gutter.
Probably says a lot about us.
And Caroline... describes Adam and tells Anita, and Anita hugs her and says he sounds wonderful.
Yeah, she's really happy for her sister.
Was this when you were like, oh, she's not a bitch?
Yeah, I was like, oh no. And then I was like, shall I go back and amend my notes when I called her a bitch earlier on? I was like, no, I'll leave it. It's fine.
She says, when are you seeing him again? And Caroline uses the long distance excuse.
Of course.
Even though it's only 2 hours.
Yeah.
So Anita offers to give her a makeover, and she says they can go shopping and get her hair done. And Caroline's really happy that Anita is finally paying attention to her.
Yeah, she's finally got her sister's respect.
But she's sad because it's all because of a made-up person.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth and Jessica are at the Sweet Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, they are.
They tell the receptionist their parents are doing a community project and they want to be put on every mailing list to receive brochures on Sweet Valley tourist attractions and upcoming events.
Yeah, so Ned and Alice are probably going to leave Sweet Valley High because of the amount of fucking junk mail they're about to get through the door. And by the way, we later learn, not only were they posting it to the home, but also to Ned's office and presumably Alice's office.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
The receptionist does warn them they'll receive a lot.
Yeah.
And the twins say, yeah, that's perfect. She also tries to rope them into participating in the upcoming centennial celebration.
Yes.
This is a bit of foreshadowing for 2 or 3 books away.
Oh, good. I was hoping it was, because it sounds fun.
Of course, Jessica wants to enter the beauty contest.
Yeah.
And Liz is like dragging her away.
Yeah.
Then they discuss other schemes on the way home. So this scheme they're doing now, they want to remind Ned and Alice of all the good times they've had in Sweet Valley.
Yes.
But they decide they can also drop subtle slurs about how awful San Francisco is.
Now bear this in mind, listener. Subtle.
Yeah, they are not subtle.
They're going to be subtle about this.
It's like the least subtle thing I've ever
ridiculous.
seen. We cut to Caroline in the cafeteria. She's feeling self-conscious in her new outfit picked up by Anita.
She's been given a makeover.
Apparently, she usually wears shirts buttoned all the way up to the top.
And the front cover
As
will
we saw
confirm
the
this.
cover. Yeah, consistent. I like it.
Yeah, because they're not always consistent.
No. But this shirt has a scoop neckline.
In fact, that proves that it's pre-haircut. Because her shirt's buttoned all the way up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it is. So her new
I want to
haircut's
see her new
probably
haircut.
better. Yeah, why didn't they put that on the cover?
But this shirt has a scoop neckline to complement her new haircut.
Ah.
She's in the line beside Bill, so she asks him how the play is going. And she says, I saw you talking to the drama coach, Mr. Jaworski.
Bill is very angry.
Yeah, he gets really defensive. He says, that was about something else, and it's none of your business.
Yeah.
And Caroline thinks, well, maybe he thinks I'm still a gossip like I used to be.
It's
like you were 2 days ago. Like,
yeah,
she's like, oh, like remember in the old days when I was a gossip?
Remember the old days yesterday?
Yeah.
When I was a gossip? It says that Bill then rushes off to join Dee Dee, and I like to think that he went red and ran off like he did in the Dee Dee book all the
I
time.
forgot about that.
They don't say it, but I'm assuming that he went bright red and then ran off.
Yeah. And then an angry Annie comes over.
Oh, I know.
She has a go at Caroline for spreading stories about Ricky and Maria. She says Caroline made her sound like a jealous shrew.
Yeah, she says she doesn't care about Maria. They're just friends. But but the way that Caroline's
so it seems like none of it was true.
Yeah, none of it.
And she tells Caroline to leave her and Ricky alone.
Oh,
and she storms off. And Caroline thinks, Boy, is she ever sensitive. Well, of course
You
she's
nearly
fucking
split
sensitive.
them up.
You're nearly splitting, like, you're nearly destroying her relationship.
Yeah, this is pretty serious.
And spreading rumours about her around the whole of school.
Yeah.
Like, of course she's going to be sensitive. And then she sees Liz and Todd, and she wants to make it up to Liz for embarrassing her at the Dairy Burger. So as soon as Liz sees her, Liz says to her for like the 10th time, she's like, no, my parents haven't decided about the move.
Yeah, she's just sick of answering this question now.
And Caroline says it's not that.
Yes, she says that, well, she thinks Bill Chaser might actually be strong competition for her after all, because she's seen him talking to Mr. Jaworski.
Yeah.
This is a name I was really worried about pronouncing during this podcast.
Mr. Jaworski.
Yeah, I just like every time I look at it, I'm like, I'm going to pronounce that wrong.
She says she saw Bill taking a couple of books about acting from him.
Yeah.
And maybe it's to help him with writing his play.
Mm.
And Liz says that's against the rules.
Yeah.
It's not like he's copying something word for word.
No, I
He's
don't
got
really.
a couple of books.
I don't really get this. She's
I
like,
don't
oh,
really
it's against the rules. But
to ask for any advice from a teacher.
Yeah, and I mean, Todd will say in a moment that Mr. Jaworski wouldn't give preferential treatment to anyone. Like, surely he's allowed to help Bill as much as he's allowed to help Liz. Like, Liz can go and ask and get help. It's fine.
Apparently, it's against the rules.
Apparently
It's
so.
a bit weird. Like, you enter this competition, but you can't get any help from any adults. You just have to do it all on your own.
How would you even police that to make that a thing? Like, it's just
get Caroline to spy on all the contestants.
That's
of
it.
Course.
Hire her.
That is what her job should be.
I hope that in like the Sweet Life or Sweet Valley Confidential that like Caroline Pierce is a private detective or something.
No, she's not. I can't remember what she does. She is in Confidential.
Right.
It slipped my mind. I don't think it was anything.
It's probably a gossip column.
Like
back to doing the
yeah.
Sixers.
I'm going to check that later because I really want to know.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I did read Sweet Valley Confidential, but I've
blocked it from your mind.
Blocked it from memory, to be honest, because it's awful.
Yeah.
Well, one day we'll do an episode on that, and
I know I haven't got there
I'll just
yet.
be furious the whole way through.
Yeah.
In about 4 years' time, we'll be there.
Yeah.
And then Todd says to Liz that Caroline's a troublemaker and not to believe her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then Liz gets distracted.
Yeah, it says that like Todd's just trying to talk, and Liz just puts her hand up.
She's
to,
like silence.
Just shut up.
She's noticed that Bruce is talking to Regina.
Yeah, she says there's definitely something going on there.
And she doesn't like it.
Well, no, and I've put a note here saying you should definitely tell Regina Morrow that Bruce is an attempted rapist, Liz.
Yeah, probably.
Definitely do that as soon as possible, okay?
That's all forgotten about
Glad
now.
that's clear.
That's all forgotten about
I
now.
know, I know, but I'm going to bring it up.
So Bruce had asked Regina if he could sit with her, and because she was too new to know all about him, she agreed, but she had heard that driving wasn't the only thing he was fast at.
Oh, boy.
But she didn't want to judge him on rumours. He tells her that he liked the photo shoot, and he helps her out with her maths homework that she's stuck on, so she thinks, yeah, he's not such a bad guy. Yeah. She admires his powerful build and chiselled features. And she thinks, well, I'd like to get to know him better.
Oh, boy.
He's heard she likes fast cars, so he offers her a ride in one Bruce one.
Yeah.
And she says, would that be as a passenger or a driver?
Yeah, Bruce apparently nervously says either.
Yeah.
And it made me think that he's not going to be happy about this in the same way he wasn't happy when Jess was good at tennis.
Yeah.
You know, this is a problem. This is a red flag.
Wow, you're going to find out in the next book.
Yeah.
So he feels awkward because he's never met a girl so unflustered by his advances, it says.
Right.
So he doesn't know what to do with himself. They arrange to meet later on that afternoon. And he's like, what time? And she's just like, I'll find you, and walks off.
Yeah.
Like, he's not used to being treated like that.
No, he's used to girls just fawning over
Yeah.
him, and, you know, or at least in his mind. He's not had very much success in the books we've read, but...
Well, he's always with college girls, isn't he?
Yeah, of course. He dates older girls.
His mother loves it.
Yeah.
He's always with college girls.
Yeah.
She like trying to pimp them out to Roger.
College girls that wear dresses that you can see through. I think he might be paying for these girls to be hanging around him.
I bet like Marie and Henry are paying for them.
Yeah.
Just to give their son confidence.
Yeah, just give him confidence.
So, meanwhile, Caroline is sitting with Lila and Jessica.
Yeah.
Lila compliments Caroline's new haircut. But she says by the time Adam sees it, it might have grown out.
But of course, Caroline says that will not be the case because she will be seeing him next weekend.
Yeah, she says she's going up there to Cold Springs.
Of course.
And Lila says, why doesn't he come to Sweet Valley? And Caroline says, well, he doesn't have petrol money.
Yeah, this disgusts Lila immediately.
Yeah, the thought of a boyfriend with no money, it disgusts Lila so much that she actually doesn't eat the rest of her lunch.
Yeah,
she pushes her yogurt away.
Yeah.
She just can't eat anymore.
No, that's it. I'm done.
Jessica says, well, I suppose you have his latest letter with you. And Caroline says, yeah, I carry them everywhere so I can read them whenever I want.
Yeah.
So they read this one, and it's another poetic one, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it's written by Robert Browning. Who would believe that like a 16 or 17-year-old boy would write this way?
And I don't want to stereotype, but Caroline makes it clear that he's like a baseball player.
Yeah, he's
like a proper jock, and it's like I mean, I don't want to stereotype. I'm sure there are baseball players that also write, but it does seem like a bit like this is like you've painted
like
too
always the
perfect.
editor of the newspaper or something.
Yeah, and it's like if you were gonna lie about having a boyfriend, you need to add some imperfections in there because he's like the most perfect guy in the world right now, and it's like, come on.
Well, Lila says he sounds like something from Masterpiece Theatre and asks if he's for real. Caroline's like, of course he's for real. But she sees the looks that Jessica and Lila give each other, and she worries they won't be satisfied with just letters for much longer.
No, she realises that this lie is not going to last. Which obviously it never was. It's almost a cry for help, this whole thing, to be honest.
Why doesn't she just say at this point we've split up?
Well, I was thinking later on, with the party thing, I was like, you could literally have just been like, split up with me, problem solved.
So that evening, Alice gets home to find the dining table set with the best china.
Yes, the twins want to apologise for the way they've been behaving with a special meal.
Liz walks in with a beautiful vase of flowers for her, and she says she got them from Petal Pushers.
That's a good name.
Such a good shop name. They've picked up their shop names in this book.
What, you prefer that to the designer shop or the sports shop?
The ski shop. And she says, Petal Pushers always have the best flowers. And Ned comes in and he says, this smells like a bribe.
He's not wrong.
But Liz says, no, me and Jessica have decided we're ready to accept any decision you make about the move.
Yes. Now, please sit down and enjoy these foods, all locally sourced from Sweet Valley High.
Like a sponsored advert. Alice compliments the salad, and Jess says it's from Season's Gourmet Shop. Another good name.
Yep.
And it's made with their special mustard that Alice loves, which of course is unique to their shop.
Of course, yes. It's like a homemade Dijon mustard, yeah.
And then the next course is another one of Alice's favourites, veal parmesan from Vito's.
Oh.
And they're not done. They bought a lemon chiffon pie from Caster's.
Yeah.
I love that. Caster's.
Yeah.
Caster sugar.
Yeah. It's good.
And then Liz says that she wants to read them her play.
Yeah, she's very nervous about it, but she says like she's going to have to read it soon anyway, so she wants to do it.
And Jess says, oh, you filled everyone up with food, and now you're going to make us sick to our stomachs. You and us both.
Of course, they don't miss the opportunity to point out that Sweet Valley is the only place in the state actually doing this competition. And how lucky are they that they live in Sweet Valley to be able to be afforded these wonderful competitions.
So she reads the play, and Jessica's only half listening.
Yeah.
But suddenly, she sits up. She feels a sense of déjà vu. And then she realises it's Adam's letters.
Yeah. Oh, no.
She rushes off to call Lila, and she says, we've been taken for fools. And Lila is really surprisingly naive about this.
Yeah, I was surprised because Lila's like, really? Are you sure, Jess?
Yeah,
I don't know.
she's got this idea that Adam's the plagiarizer, and
that's not
Adam does exist, but he's been copying the letters.
That's not an unreasonable assumption to make. That like this 16-year-old jock has actually just stolen some poetry and wrote it and pretended to be from him. But of course, Jess is like, no, the whole thing is fake.
She says it's practically science fiction that a guy would fall for Caroline.
Aww. She's got a new haircut now. Anything can happen.
So they decide to try and force Caroline to get him to visit tomorrow at the PBA meeting.
Yeah. At Casey's.
Yeah. Jessica's angry at Caroline for telling the news about the move, like shooting the messenger.
Yeah.
So she vows to make her sorry if it's the last thing she does in Sweet Valley.
Yeah. Which it might well be if they move.
And yeah, the PBA meeting is held at Casey's. Yay. And everyone's there apart from Liz and Enid because they think they're too good for the PBA.
They're above it. Yeah.
And we are told again they're members in name only. Why the fuck did you bother joining?
I know.
Seriously, why?
It's so ridiculous.
Why did they join?
I know.
Also, like, how the hell did Caroline get in? Because everyone seems to hate Caroline.
I know.
And they were so choosy about who got in.
It was really hard to get in. I know. It's crazy.
And Caroline's in.
Maybe they just
I don't
got
think
her
they'd
in.
let Enid in either.
No. I don't remember Enid getting in. When I was reading this, I was like, I don't remember Enid getting in. I know that Liz did. I don't remember.
That was so
Enid.
far back now, I can't remember.
It was like the first book, wasn't it? It was first, second book?
Yeah,
maybe?
God, that seems so long ago.
But maybe they just wanted Caroline for the gossip. They're like, oh, if she's in our sorority, she won't gossip about us. She can gossip about other people or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Although maybe I thought they wouldn't want to like reveal their sorority secrets to her.
Yeah.
You know.
Who knows?
So Caroline's the centre of attention. She's reading out Adam's latest letter to a group.
Yeah.
Lila and Jess cut in and they wave everyone away. They're like, clear out. They start probing her about Adam visiting again, and Lila says, as Caroline's visiting him this weekend, he can come up on the following weekend.
Yeah. Caroline, of course, brings up the money problem immediately.
And Lila says, I'm going to throw a party in his honour. Bit bloody weird.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a party for this guy I don't even know.
I mean, at this point, they've had such like ridiculous excuses to throw a party. This is not out of the realms of possibility for Lila. Like, we need a party every week for some reason.
Yeah, and Caroline says, well, he's shy, so he wouldn't want a party. But Lila insists that she asks him. But, you know, she could just say, like, he's got, well, actually, no, this comes up later.
It does come up
later.
later.
I said that.
Yeah.
So she thinks she can't see a way out of this now.
Yeah.
Later on at the Wakefield's house, Ned and Alice are confused because they're getting bombarded with tourist pamphlets.
What the fuck?
At home and at work.
Like, at this point, they must know. I mean, come on. Come on, Ned and Alice. You know what's going on.
Ned looks at one and he says, well, I suppose we should take a drive out to Las Palmas Canyon soon, though.
Yes, one of Ned's favourite spots.
Meanwhile, Jessica is cutting out newspaper articles, and she tells Ned it's for a history project on current events.
Yeah,
Why would you do a history project on current events?
She's doing a project on natural and unnatural disasters. And apparently, shockingly, San Francisco is such a shithole that most of the articles just happen to be about that.
Yeah, Ned looks through the pile, and this is the article she's cut out. 4 killed in San Francisco quake. Blaze destroys San Francisco hotel. Crime in San Francisco. Can it be stopped? And drugs in...
Crime. Can it be stopped?
Can it be stopped?
By the way, I did immediately think that I am aware that Sweet Valley is about to have a pretty big earthquake if we're,
Yeah. And another one called Drugs in the City. She shrugs and she says, so many disasters seem to happen in San Francisco. But who cares about little things like that when you've got all those theatres and restaurants?
Yeah.
And Liz says, well, speaking of restaurants, we would like to make reservations for you at Tiberino's, the restaurant where Ned proposed to Alice.
Aww. Yeah, well, they do say that if they're going to be leaving Sweet Valley soon, they may not get another chance to eat there. So they figure, make the most of it.
And Jessica says, well, San Francisco always has Chinatown. And Liz giggles because, as we know, Ned is allergic to Chinese food.
Yeah, no, as I said to you, how is someone allergic to all Chinese food? Like, everything they produce?
I don't know. Maybe he's allergic to soy sauce or something.
Maybe. It must be something really basic that's in everything. Because, that's pretty broad.
But also, it's not like Chinatown will be the only kind of food there.
No.
Jessica acts like that's like...
A lot of cities have a Chinatown. It's not like, it's not the only thing to eat in San Francisco.
They'll never be able to go out for a meal again.
I'm pretty sure if San Francisco will have a signature dish, and it probably won't be Chinese food, I would assume.
And it'll probably be better than the clam special.
Or the flounder.
So later on, Jessica tells Liz she's going to find a way to get Ned out to Las Palmas Canyon that weekend.
Yeah.
On Friday, Caroline has arrived at school an hour early.
She has
to
indeed.
carry out her latest plan.
Yeah.
She just has to get everyone to believe she spent the weekend at Cold Springs. She already has a football team shirt that she got from her cousin because her cousin used to date a guy up there. So she planned to wear that on Monday and say it was from Adam.
Yeah.
But she has another idea.
She does indeed.
She'd heard Penny complaining about all the space old newspapers from other schools were taking up in the Oracle office.
Yeah.
Why have they got...
I don't know. Just
Why?
throw them out. This is a problem. This is a non-problem that they've just invented.
So she sneaks in there into the Oracle office and she finds the Cold Spring Sports page and she just cuts out a picture of a random guy.
Yes, and she thinks, well, that might be enough to convince Lila and Jess that Adam is real. There's a person now. And it was at this point in the book that I disappointingly realised, or came to the realisation, that Mr. Collins is not going to appear in this book.
Ah. At lunchtime, she accidentally drops the newspaper article onto the table in front of
I
Lila
like
and
to
Jess.
think it was like the most obvious,
oops, it just fell out of my bag.
Yeah.
They say, oh, is that Adam? And she says, yeah, you can't really see him very clearly, but he wanted me to have something.
Yeah.
Jessica snatches it. And she says, that's a basketball picture, and you said he played baseball.
Yeah. Jess is like, they've like, I feel like Jess and Lila have got like a room with pictures all over it and like dots drawn and like chalkboard with everything she's ever said written down about Adam.
But Caroline says, this photo's from last year. And apparently, all you can see in the photo is a blurry pair of arms.
Yeah, it's like a really blurry
Reaching
like
for a
background
net.
photo or something. Yeah.
They bring up the party again, and Caroline says, I'll ask him at the weekend. And Lila tells her that the way to deal with guys isn't to ask, it's to tell.
Yeah.
That's how she deals with everyone, isn't it?
Yeah. Caroline kind of realizes at this point that her plan really isn't working as she hoped, but she's determined to make this weekend really special. And it made me wonder. I was like, it made me feel even more sad at this point, because I was like, is she like, does she just know that next weekend her life is going to be ruined and it's all going to come crashing down? So she's just like, I'm going to try and make the next week as happy as possible, knowing that after next weekend it's all done. It's like, it's just ruined, because she knows she's got the maximum of until next weekend before this lie is over. She either has to split up with Adam, and I still, like you, do not know why she didn't come up with that excuse. Or it's going to be outed. So she knows she's on a ticking timer here.
We cut to Saturday afternoon, and Jessica's calling Ned. She says the car's broken down and she's stuck.
I wonder where.
Las Palmas Canyon, of course.
Ned even questions how on earth she got out there, but Jess just says, I'll explain when I see you.
So he goes to pick her up, and then when he gets there, he checks the car, and it's absolutely fine.
Oh my god, Jess does act shocked. She's like, oh, that's weird. And Ned says, oh, maybe it was the battery, so let's run the car for a bit, and we can stay here for a little while, and then I'll follow you back in case you break down again.
And then he takes in the view from the canyon. He says he forgot how beautiful it was. And he always used to go up there when he had a tough case to think about. And he should come up more often.
Yeah.
And Jessica's like, well, you won't be able to come up here soon.
Yeah.
And then they reminisce about when they went up there for a picnic.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like Liz at all. Apparently at this picnic, Liz scared Jessica by saying that there were bears up there.
That were going to eat her.
They were going to eat her. I can't imagine Liz doing that. And then I wondered, is this covered in kids?
Is this a kid's
or
storyline?
twins?
Yeah.
I'm assuming kids, but yeah.
Let us know if it's a kid's storyline, guys.
Yeah.
As we haven't read, I've only read 2 kids' books. So.
And I've read none. So, yeah.
And then Ned sounds sad. They spot some deer, and Jessica says you won't find them in San Francisco.
No.
And Ned sadly says it's time to go.
But then Jessica thinks mission accomplished because she's made Ned sad as she's driving back, but then she sees someone.
Yep, she spots a redhead coming out of a grocery store. It's Caroline.
Oh boy, Caroline has not gone away for the weekend. There she is with the groceries.
She should have stayed in.
Yeah, I did.
Laid
Yeah.
low.
She should have made plans.
Especially as she lives a few doors away from them.
Yeah, this is a really hard lie for her to keep up.
Risky.
It's like you're literally, like you said, a few doors down. It's like, this is not going to work. This is not going unless you stay in your house all weekend, this is not going to work.
So as soon as Jessica gets back, she calls Lila. And Lila says, why would Caroline lie? Well, why do you bloody think?
Yeah, this is pretty obvious at this point.
I can't believe how gullible Lila's being.
Yeah, she comes across really stupid in this book.
But she does angrily say, no one's going to make a fool out of me.
This is a weird thing that happens all the way through this book, where Jess and Lila are furious at the thought that Caroline is maliciously making fools out of them.
Yeah, they seem to take it personally.
It's like it's all for them. Like she's done it just to like trick them. You know, like in Twins when Jess was like, "Haha, I tricked you, Lila. I tricked you into thinking there was gold in here, and that I was."
It's not a practical joke.
It's not a joke. Like clearly, this girl has some issues, and she just wants to be accepted, and she's made this fantasy. But they're acting like she's done it to spite them, and it's like that's clearly not what's going on here.
Lila says she's going to give Caroline the roughest week of her life.
I know, it's like, Jesus.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it is like Lila. Lila would be, I've said this before, but Lila would be a scary kid if you were in school.
Yeah, I would hate to fall out with Lila.
Yeah.
So on Monday, they pounce on Caroline at her locker.
Yeah.
And they say, how was the weekend?
She's got a good one, though, because she produces the t-shirt.
And then she gives them a detailed account of the whole weekend. How she met Adam's mum, she watched his baseball game.
She says that Adam's mum is lovely and that she is an English teacher, which is where Adam gets all of his skills in poetry from. Or letter writing.
Yeah. And then she says that we went for a romantic meal, and then after we went driving. But she can't go into details about that.
Haha.
She's saying they had sex.
Something about flowers and whatnot.
He what was it? He brightened her flower.
Yeah, that's what happened in the car.
And then on Sunday they went on a picnic. They say, "Well, can you come to the party?" Then she says, "Well, it's just the money problem."
Well, Lila's got an answer to that.
She pulls out a bus ticket from her purse and waves it at Caroline.
Yeah.
Caroline backs away and says, "I can't take it." And Lila says, "Well, it's a gift. I can't bear to see two people in love separated."
Yeah, so basically Lila is going out of her way and removing any possible way out of this.
It's also
Caroline.
because like Lila wants to prove Jess wrong because they disagree. Like Jess thinks he's fake, Caroline thinks he's real. So that's another reason why Lila's so hell-bent on this whole thing.
Yeah.
And Caroline says, "Well, I think he might have a basketball game. Or baseball, whichever it was."
But
basketball.
Lila's checked. She's checked with John Pfeiffer.
Yeah, she got him to check out the team schedule, and he doesn't.
I'm surprised she didn't get him to check who was on the team to see if Adam
was
there.
Yeah, she could have said to John, like, "Can you check the team names?"
Yeah.
See if he's real. So Caroline's backed into corner and says he'll be there.
Yeah, she says they can count on it.
Jessica suggests she shows Liz the letters.
Yes, apparently Liz is, quote, an expert on love letters.
And she tells her all about Liz's play. And she says it also includes love letters.
From Robert Browning.
Yeah. And Lila says she bets Browning's won't be as good as Adam's.
Yeah, and the two
Caroline
laugh.
realises.
They laugh as they leave, and it's like, clearly they both know exactly what's going on.
And Caroline realises that when Elizabeth reads the play out, the whole school will
Yeah,
know.
so now, of course, now she knows, like, the whole school's going to know pretty soon.
We cut to study hall, and Elizabeth is working on the play.
Yeah, she's super proud of it. But obviously the move is weighing heavily on her mind.
And then Regina comes over. Regina's ivory complexion was blooming. And Liz thinks she's never looked so beautiful. But she asks if Liz is okay, and Liz says, "I'm worried about the move." And Regina sympathises. She says, "I remember how hard it was to change schools, and I didn't even have a boyfriend then."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Boyfriend.
Liz is worried, and she says, I've noticed you've been spending a lot of time with Bruce lately."
Yeah, she questions if he's right for her.
And Regina gushes about how wonderful he is and how much they have in common. But Liz thinks once he gets what he wants from her, he'll drop her.
Yeah, but the thing is just like, she knows that he's going to break her heart. She knows that he's attempted rape on her already.
I love that you don't know what happens in the next book with Bruce and Regina.
I've no idea.
I'm really enjoying your opinion on this.
Oh my god! Okay, so wow, that's good. We'll get to that pretty soon.
Yeah,
yeah, I've no idea. So
I'm gonna keep quiet on the matter.
Like she knows he's rapey, and that he tried to rape her. Like that literally happened a few books back. I mean, I know she lost her mind and all that, but she remembers that bit. She was snapped out of it at that point.
She banged her head in it.
She banged her head, and she was back to normal, and she remembered that bit when he was trying to assault her. But it says that she doesn't want to disillusion Regina or ruin her mood. So it's like, oh yeah, well I won't tell you that this guy's absolutely horrible because I don't want to spoil your good mood.
Yeah, I'd want a friend to warn me.
Yeah, wouldn't you? Yeah.
So in the cafeteria later, Liz and Jess think their plan's working and that Ned is definitely softening.
Yeah.
But Jessica disagrees slightly, and she says that at breakfast he told them he had an interview with a law firm in San Francisco.
Yeah, Liz thinks like, oh, I'm sure he's just going through the motions. He won't actually take the job. Like, I think Liz is trying to convince herself that everything's going to be fine.
And Jessica says we need to increase our efforts.
Yeah, she's going to go ahead and book that table.
Yeah, for tomorrow. And then Lila comes over and she calls out to Caroline to join them. Caroline nervously wonders if they've told Liz about the letters.
Yeah, well, of course they have. It makes a point of saying that Caroline had actually gone out of her way to avoid the two of them all day because of what happened earlier in the day.
Liz asks her about Adam and she's really vague. So Lila says, read one of his letters out. Read one to Liz.
Yeah.
And Liz notices Jessica try not to laugh, and she's like really confused, like what's going on?
Yeah, Liz knows something's up. It says that like she can tell that Jess is almost like laughing, so she knows that Jess is being a little shit.
And she quickly realizes why Jessica's laughing when Caroline starts reading.
Mm-hmm.
But like Lila, she also thinks that Adam's the plagiarizer.
Yeah. And
she feels bad for Caroline and angry at Jessica and Lila for setting her up.
Have you got it written down?
No.
The book says that Elizabeth has angry sparks shooting from her blue-green eyes.
Wow, sounds like some kind of
furious
sci-fi robot.
I know, that's how angry she is.
She's malfunctioning. The robot is malfunctioning.
Like malfunctioning. She's so angry.
So, Jess and Lila make an excuse to leave.
Yeah, they should have gone to see Robin Wilson.
And Liz is like, oh, great. I'm going to have to tell Caroline because I just can't watch her be the butt of their jokes.
Yeah, but Caroline beats her to it. Caroline says that the letters aren't from Adam. And, of course, Liz says, she knows they're not. But then, of course, Caroline says there's more to it than that. Of course, she notices like everyone in the cafeteria, and she says to Liz, "Can I talk to you later?" And Liz, she can see that Caroline's upset. Liz is like pretty busy. It's like, wow, okay, like this person's really upset and just like clearly needs your help. And she agrees eventually, but it's like Caroline has to like basically beg her to come and meet her. And it's like she was really upset, Liz.
And then later on, she confides in Liz how she just wanted to fit in, and it all got out of hand. And she tells, like, the truth about the letters.
Yeah, she tells the full truth.
Made up.
Yeah.
And she also begs Liz not to read the play out, and Liz gets angry.
I don't blame her. This is a bit much.
Yeah, she thinks she's worked so hard on it. And Caroline says, you can't do this to me.
Yeah, I was a bit like, no, at this point I was like, Caroline, no, you've gone too far. You can't ask someone, like, all the work she's put into this play, and now you're like, no, just don't do the play because I've been an idiot.
I agree.
It's like, no, you know.
But she seems so desperate that Liz says, well, I'll ask if I can submit it without reading it out.
Of course, it's because Liz getting herself into problems that she creates for herself. But
she does remind Caroline that that's not going to help her on Saturday night at the party.
No.
Liz gets home and she confronts Jessica, who is floating around in the pool. And Jessica tells her whatever it is, it can wait, because I'm busy trying to get a tan for Lila's party.
Yeah.
And Liz says, well, it's about the party. And I just had a long talk with Caroline. Jessica remarks that any talk with Caroline is a long one. And Liz says, look, we both know where the letters came from.
Yeah.
And Jessica says, yeah, I don't think Adam exists.
Yeah, and then Liz is like furious. She's like, so you don't think he exists, but you made this party anyway. Like, you're just being horrible.
And Jessica just blames Lila. She says Lila still thinks he's real. And it's going to be fun anyway to see how Caroline gets out of it. Because she deserves a lesson taught to her in public, in front of everyone.
Damn. I mean, Jess is furious that she's been embarrassed and shown the letter in public, you know.
And Liz says that Caroline's very upset, and she says that she'd asked her to cancel the play reading, and Jessica nearly falls off her pool float.
Yeah, Jess is absolutely right here.
She says Liz shouldn't jeopardise her literary career for that brat, as she wouldn't do anything for Liz, and she brought it all on herself.
Yeah. Now, I mean, Jess is harsh about it.
She hasn't ever done anything for Liz, has she?
Well, she did used to write for the Sixers. She was part of that whole newspaper with, and that was Liz's idea. Caroline was doing the gossip column. But yeah, I totally agree with Jess here, though.
And Liz thinks, well, Jessica does have a point, but then she has an idea. So she rushes inside to call Todd. She knows how she can help Caroline and teach Jess a lesson.
Oh boy.
But she needs Todd's help.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that in a minute.
We will indeed.
At Caroline's house, Anita asks if Caroline and Adam are having problems.
Yeah, she's noticed that Caroline has been off the last couple of days.
And also that she hasn't told their mother about him.
Yeah.
And Caroline ends up blurting out the truth to Anita as well.
Yeah, she bursts into tears and she just tells her. And Anita goes over really great. Hugs her. Yeah, she goes over and hugs her. And they spend the next couple of hours talking. She says that Caroline needs to listen more and talk less, basically. And, and she gives her some big sister advice.
Yeah, she says she needs to start thinking before she speaks because some of the things she says actually hurt people.
Yeah.
And Caroline thinks, yeah, she is right.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty evident even from this book, let alone everything else in the past.
Anita says the best thing she can do is go to the party with her head held high and show Lila and Jess they can't get to her.
Yeah.
And she even offers to help Caroline get ready as well.
Yeah, she's like, I'll get you a new makeover.
So the next day, Caroline's like a different person. She apologises to Liz and she actually says, I can't let you cancel your play reading as it's not fair.
Yeah. She says it's not fair for Liz to have to sacrifice for her mistakes.
She also says she's going to find Jess and Lila and tell them the truth.
Yes, she won't have to wait long. Lila and Jess approach them.
And Caroline chickens out and panics.
Yeah. She tells half of it.
Yeah, she tells them the letters were from a book. But she doesn't tell them that Adam's not real. No,
so Adam plagiarized the letters. And Lila's kind of okay with this. She says, well, it still shows that he absolutely loves you. Like, he's gone to a lot of effort.
Yeah.
You know, the intent.
Of course she's okay with it because, I mean, she's right.
She's right and Jess is wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So, at lunchtime, Liz tells Todd she felt really bad for Caroline. And Todd says, okay, let's go ahead with Operation Rescue.
Oh, boy.
He says he just needs a few days to arrange things.
I like that, like, Todd's, like, thinking about maybe helping, and then Liz just, like, casually lets it slip that it'll really piss off Jess, and then Todd's like, okay, I'm in.
Meanwhile, Caroline goes over to Bill and Dee Dee, and she apologises to Bill as well.
Yeah, she apologises for spreading the rumours, and Dee Dee, the little bitch, she's like, oh, well, he's pulled out now anyway, it's all your fault. But then Bill is like, oh, she's just winding you up. Like, basically, Bill, well, you say it, Bill's going to be potentially famous.
Yeah, he's not entering the contest anymore because Mr. Jaworski was actually giving Bill the books to help him out with an audition that he's got in LA. They've called him back in next week for a taping, and he could end up on a TV series.
Oh my god.
But Bill says, keep this quiet for now.
Yeah.
Caroline says, my gossiping days are over.
Yeah, and Caroline's like really happy for Bill.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's nice for her character arc that she's not doing gossip anymore. but at the same time, I really wanted to keep doing gossip because I love her character when she's
still got
gossiping.
the eyes and ears.
That's true. We do always have the eyes and ears.
At the Wakefield's house later on, Ned and Alice get back from Tiberino's and they find the twins watching a show called The Streets of San Francisco. Liz solemnly tells them that it's really violent in San Francisco.
Oh boy.
They can't take it anymore.
No, they burst out laughing.
They confess that they decided they were going to stay in Sweet Valley a week ago.
Yeah. Ned apparently decided not to tell them as punishment for the way they behaved in the start of the book.
And also they were curious to see how far they take things.
Pretty far, to be fair. They've like booked restaurants, although that's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Because like they booked the table, but Ned and Alice still had to pay for their own meals and stuff.
Must have been quite amusing though, just laughing at them the whole time.
Oh god, especially the breaking down in the canyon. That must have been hilarious. They're not. I'll tell you now though, they're not. They're never going to be able to stop that junk mail coming through.
That's going to be the
forever.
rest of their life.
That's forever. Yeah. I'd like to point out as well that at the restaurant, Alice, well done Alice, she had a lasagna. She didn't have broiled flounder or fried clams.
I bet it was a clam lasagna.
The clam lasagna, yeah. Broiled flounder lasagna.
So we cut to the auditorium. Liz has read her play out and she's getting wild applause.
Yeah, and Caroline congratulates her.
And of course, she won the competition.
She did indeed.
Because she wins everything.
Yep.
She gets everything she wants.
Yep.
All the time. Caroline congratulates her and she tells Liz that she's going to wait until the party to tell everyone the truth about Adam.
Yeah, and Liz kind of says, that's probably for the best. You can deal with it all in one go. Get rid of everyone. Yeah. But she tells her, I've got a feeling it's just all going to work out for you, Caroline.
It's like it's going to be so much better to publicly tell like dozens of people all at once and be completely humiliated when they've made the effort to come out to a party, rather than just tell Lila and Jessica in private.
Absolutely.
It's not really going to be better.
Or as you said at the start of this book, just tell them you split
up.
You broke up and that's the end of it. Now, Liz is kind of like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Everything will be fine, Caroline. When we hear in a short while what their plan was, they definitely should have fucking told her the plan.
Yeah, I know, I don't understand.
Like, this is mental, but fine. So,
on Saturday night, Liz and Todd meet Caroline at the gates of Fowler Crest, and they can't believe how beautiful she looks.
They say that she's like unrecognizable almost.
They act like she was really ugly before as well.
They act like she was like
hideous,
like Amy was in Twins, and now she's like,
She was wearing a green satin dress and tortoise shell combs in her hair. Her eyes looked bigger thanks to some green eyeshadow. She almost looked regal, and Todd says, "Wow, you're pretty."
Wow. Yeah, like you never were before.
Yeah, exactly. They act like she was horrible before.
Yeah, yeah.
Caroline jokes that she wanted to look good for her funeral.
Oh.
Inside, the party's in full swing, and Lila, as usual, has spared no expense. She's gone way over the top.
Of course not. The thing is, I liked it earlier as well. They made a point of pointing out that Lila's hatred for Regina is not only because of the modelling thing, but because she's also very rich. So I feel like
she's beautiful,
rich. She's everything that Lila was.
And her face is 3D instead of flat.
Her face is in 3D, 3 dimensions. That's an extra dimension on top of what Lila's got. So she's one up in terms of dimension. But so now I imagine everything that Lila does has to be like the biggest. She's got to prove like she's better than Regina.
Definitely. Well, she'd hired a mobile disco and she's got 2 large monitors out on the patio playing rock videos.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
I bet the Buck and Mrs. Diamond are playing away on those videos.
They're old news. They're what they like when they were kids, aren't they?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I don't think either of them are mentioned in High.
Oh.
But Caroline, she turns up and she asks Lila to turn the music down. She wants to make an announcement.
Oh boy.
Everyone goes quiet and Jessica, little bitch, is like, this is the moment I've been waiting for.
I've been waiting all my life for this.
The great fall of Caroline Pierce. Todd glances at his watch nervously and he gives Liz a helpless look.
Oh dear.
Caroline begins to speak, but she's interrupted by a boy's voice calling her name.
Yeah.
A tall, dark, handsome guy runs up to her and apologises for being late. And then he kisses her. I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this is the problem when you don't tell her
I don't know
the plan.
why they didn't tell her.
It's insane, because for one thing, they could have waited until he was there. He could have literally walked in with her. They wouldn't have even needed to lie.
No.
Like, if you think about it, they wouldn't have even needed to lie.
He was late, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he wouldn't have been late if they told her the plan and they synchronized so that they arrived with him and it all would have been fine.
Or she could have just arrived first and said, sorry, Adam's running late, he'll be here in a bit.
Yeah.
Rather than letting her get up on the stage to make this announcement.
But I also feel like if they'd waited for him to arrive, if they were all in on the plan, waited for him to arrive, they could have walked in together.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have even needed to lie about it being Adam. She would have just walked in with a guy and they would have assumed. It would have been fine.
So he says to her, tell them who I am. He whispers it.
Yeah.
And she says, this is Adam.
Here's Adam, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, I was
Luckily
like...
she realised that as well. Because,
I know.
You know.
Well, and also, how did she not think, like, maybe Jess has found someone to do this as a joke, and then I'm going to say this is Adam, and he'll be like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? You know, like, they definitely should have filled her in on this plan.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Of course, Lila's smug. She says he looks just like the picture.
Just the blurry picture of two arms, yeah.
Jessica's stunned. Caroline takes a walk with the mysterious guy, and he tells her that he was supposed to be Adam, but his real name's Jerry Fisher. He's a friend of Todd's.
Yes, they met through basketball.
Todd had told him what happened, and he agreed to help. Caroline says he's a wonderful person.
Saved her life.
And he says, well, as long as I don't have to recite poetry, because I hate it, but I do play baseball. So he plays baseball and basketball. It's perfect.
It's like half the lie covered right there.
They have a great night. He sticks by her side. He tells her all about himself, and she actually listens.
Yes.
She didn't feel the need to interrupt once, it says.
No.
And then Lila asks him to dance, and he says he's a one-woman man, and he turns her down. In your face, Lila.
In your flat face, Lila.
But Caroline feels sad because she remembers that he's only playing a role. And really, she is just as lonely as before.
Yeah.
She knows she can't get him to do this forever. So she turns the music off. And she makes another announcement.
Yeah. She comes clean.
Like, I know this is supposed to be a positive message about honesty and stuff. But I don't think she should have come clean.
I would have
come clean.
I think it would have been a more satisfying ending.
If she hadn't come clean.
If she hadn't come clean.
Yeah. And then she could have just left it a month and then said they've broken up.
Yeah. Or if things progressed as they may do, she could have just said, Adam's like a nickname. Like his real name's Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know.
Jerry.
I don't know.
So she makes her confession and she runs off crying. Jerry follows her and he says he's proud of her.
Yeah.
And he says all he saw was people respecting her for what she did.
I
really
don't think so. I bet Lila and Jess were laughing their asses off.
I know. And then he asks if he can write to her for real. And they kiss.
Yeah. So she, it is a positive ending. She does find love.
Of course, it's not positive for Jessica.
Oh, no.
Because she's unhappy that Caroline's happy.
Yeah.
But she tells Lila she doesn't care.
That's the Jessica cycle, though, isn't it? Like, once you've lost, you just pretend like you don't care, and then it doesn't matter anymore. Anyway. It's fine.
She's very resilient. That's one thing I will say.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's very resilient. I'll give you that.
Meanwhile, Liz and Todd are standing on the patio, just being weird and watching people.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
And, of course, they see Regina and Bruce.
They're into stalking Regina, aren't they?
To be fair, they've been stalking Regina for a couple of months now.
They're going to stalk Regina again, aren't they?
Well, Todd will
Todd's
jump at any
obsessed.
goddamn opportunity to stalk Regina, so this is perfect. Oh my god. And of course, Todd even says, he's like, I'm not very happy about this, as he looks
They're like
on.
someone's parents.
I think Todd's like secretly in love with Regina or something.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh no, like, I'm not happy with her dating him. Like, I mean, he's got good reason, but like the way he was in the previous books with Regina. He's very
obsessed with her.
He's obsessed with Regina.
And Elizabeth says that she wants to protect Regina. And he says, well, if anyone can rescue Regina, it's you.
Yes, of course. You could have rescued her by telling the bloody truth about Bruce Patman 5 days ago, but never mind.
And she says, I wish I could think so, but I have a feeling Regina may be in for big trouble.
Oh.
Will loving Bruce bring Regina happiness or heartache? Find out in Sweet Valley High number 18, Head Over Heels.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you don't know, and I know.
There's a quote at the end of that book as well, where they actually... I'm hoping it's in this one, because obviously my book was a different book, so I'm hoping it's in both. But they actually do put... oh, no, it's different.
Really?
I think it's different.
My God.
I think it is. Grab the other book. Oh,
You
it's
grab
far
the other
away.
book.
I'll grab the book. I'm moving away from the microphone.
Don't tell me
to
what to
grab the
do.
book. Sorry, I thought it was near you.
Yeah, I read the single book, and Rich had my 3-in-1 edition. You know, when it's like the 3 books in one.
Yeah.
That's weird how it's different.
Oh, no, it's not different.
Oh,
Did
come
I make...
on.
No, I didn't make this up. I read this somewhere. Hang on. They said it. They said it somewhere.
You're losing your mind.
Maybe I am. Hang on. They said it somewhere. Oh, I can't find it now. They made a point of actually using the words "playing with fire" at the end of this book somewhere. Yeah, which is obviously...
I know the bit you're on about. That was in the library.
Oh, was it in the library?
In the study hall when Elizabeth and Regina had the conversation.
Ah, that's what it was.
I
was
Elizabeth thinks she's playing with fire.
Yeah, I made a point of being like, that's the name of the book. They got the name of the book in there.
So, yeah, we'll find out in number 18.
We will indeed.
Emma's second-hand life said, what 16-year-old boy would type love letters using language like that?
Well, yeah.
And I agree. And
I agree.
Even an adult, like what adult in this century would write letters like that?
Well, and like what girl or woman receiving it would be like impressed rather than like, really? That's a bit, it's a bit odd.
Yeah. If someone wrote me a letter like that, I'd be like, whoa, that's a bit weird.
We both took it the wrong way.
Talking about after I was dead and things, I'd be like, just calm down.
Yeah, chill. Yeah, but I must admit, I finished this book feeling my opinion of Caroline Pierce has been changed.
Yeah,
I really like her now.
What I'm getting from our social media is that people don't like Caroline.
No, and I can see why up until this book, but now I just feel really sorry for her.
I do as well.
I think we're in the minority, but I feel sorry for Caroline. Kind of like her.
Yeah,
same. I thought this book did a good job of kind of showing her side and why she does what she does. And
we will see if she goes back to her old ways.
she blatantly will. They can't have her not be a gossip. But oh my goodness, you dropped a massive bombshell on me during this episode, and now I'm really curious what Bruce is gonna.
Oh yeah,
Bruce and Regina. So I'm guessing something big is coming my way. Loved this book. Loved it.
Yeah, so we'll find out in 2 weeks what happens with Bruce and Regina.
Mm.
In the meantime, follow us on Instagram, Kelly's Roadhouse, Facebook, Kelly's Roadhouse Podcast. We might get a Twitter soon, but
we may well be getting a Twitter, but we'll
can't
see.
handle it. It's too much social media.
It is a lot of social media, and of course next week we will be back with Casey's Ice Cream Parlor.
Yeah, I can't remember what.
No, I'm not sure.
Called.
Oh, is the is the book is called
The First Place?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say the book is called "Will Elizabeth Risk Everything for a Horse?" But yes, so thank you for listening, everybody.
Yep, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Let us know what you think of Caroline as well.
Yeah, give us your Caroline opinions.
Bye. Thanks for listening.